My name is Mr. Bobby Ray Huntley. I am calling from Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I am retired after 19 years with the Virginia Beach City Public School System. And I wore several hats with the school division. I started out as a security assistant, became an in-school suspension coordinator, and also a dean of student. I'm a pastor. I've been pastoring, my wife and I pastor Test of Faith Ministries in Virginia Beach. We've been pastoring for 20 years. We just celebrated 20 years this March. And so it's been great. Everyone calls me Mr. Huntley, at least the students did. They call me Mr. Huntley. And my favorite teacher growing up was Mr. Neal. He was my math teacher. And although math wasn't and still currently isn't my favorite subject, but Mr. Neal took an interest in me, and he would take me and a couple other students bowling. It was my first experience in bowling and also skating. And so he spent some time with us, and that really meant a lot to me. And I think it helped shape me to become the mentor that I am today.
Hello, teachers from around the world, and welcome to the Legendary Educator Podcast, the podcast for teachers for continuing professional development, where we discuss everything related to education. I'm your host, Mr. Ramos. Is it just me, or is behavior becoming worse with every new generation? A lack of respect, a lack of integrity, a lack of responsibility, and this is due to several reasons, but this isn't the time to play the blame game. Instead, I wanted to find something that would help educators guide their students to become positive citizens of society. And I believe I found just the thing. My guest this week is Mr. Bobby Huntley, U.S. Marine veteran, retired educator, inspirational speaker, author of several books, mentor, activist. Yeah, this guy does it all. We discuss a truly fantastic program called the Gentlemen's Club, an extracurricular activity for young men to teach them about values and how to be a good citizen. Now, this is something that I would love to see in every school around the world. We discuss the history of the program, as well as the effects it has on young people. And we also explain how you can implement this at your own school. Before we begin, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of the extremely important episodes in the coming weeks, as we wind down this first season of the Legendary Educator Podcast, after which I've got some really cool things up my sleeve for the summer. I'm truly honored to be speaking with this legendary gentleman. Mr. Huntley, welcome. Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast episode. Being a teacher is tough. Sure, it's one of the most rewarding jobs you could possibly have, but more often than not, you're overworked, underpaid, not to mention the stress and pressure coming at you from every direction. From keeping your students on track, satisfying the administration with your performance, and of course parents telling you that you need to pay more attention to their kid, because you don't have 20 other kids in your class. Sometimes you just need to turn it all off and talk to someone, don't you? Well, let me introduce you to BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Use the link betterhelp.com/legendaryeducator to get 10% off your first month of therapy. That's betterhelp.com/legendaryeducator. Check out BetterHelp today. You deserve it. Okay, Mr. Huntley, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here today.
I encountered your name on a podcast I was listening to, and you were talking about something called the Gentlemen's Club. I'm going to go into that in a couple of minutes. But as always, I'd like to go into your history in the
Okay.
field of education. What's your origin story? How did you get into education and the process that basically led you to where you are today?
It's an interesting story. I'm a veteran. I spent 13 and a half years in the United States Marine Corps, and I'm
Mm,
also an author of several books. And I met a friend of mine who's a pastor, and he would tell me, he said, "You do such a wonderful job with the men in your community." But he said, "I think your calling is with the youth." And I'm 6'6", 360 pounds. So I'm a big guy. And I
mhm.
said, well, I can't see myself in the school, especially with students that are small. I'm used to dealing with men being in the Marine Corps.
You're scary.
And
Absolutely.
yeah,
You're a
absolutely.
scary fella. Yeah.
Right, right. I'm a big guy. And so he said, no, I think you would really do good. I think you're missing your calling if you don't work with the kids. What better way to help shape a person than to start them out young?
Hmm.
And I said, okay. And I'll be honest with you, I think what really got me, because I'm also an inspirational speaker, but what I think what really got me was that the time frame that I would still have time to do my own business. He said, well, you work 8 to 5, off on the weekends, and you get paid in the summer. I said, I get paid in the summer. So that was the first hook that got me, that I got paid in the summer. And so I said, okay. So I went in pretty much on an entry level, just to get my foot in the door. I started at Plaza Middle School as a security assistant. And that was great. I really enjoyed doing it. And even the principal, he gave me leeway, excuse me, to spend as much time with especially the young men, the boys, and shaping their mind, because we had a lot of students that had a lot of disciplinary issues.
Hmm.
And so I started getting comfortable with these young kids. They were uh, to my knee and to my hips, but I started getting comfortable with them. And then all of a sudden, things started shaping and manifesting. And a young man, or excuse me, another teacher who's a good friend of mine, he had the mentoring program, the Gentleman's Club, the year I started at Plaza Middle School. And the following year, he couldn't take over the program. So he asked me to do the program, and I took over from there.
Mm.
I spent 2 years at Plaza Middle School, and then I was hired at the Kempsville Middle School as an in-school suspension coordinator. And there I got a lot of time dealing with students, of course, in-school suspension coordinator, we call it ISS for short. That's the step before a student gets put out of school, short-term or long-term out-of-school suspension
Mm.
because of disciplinary infractions, whether it be a lot of referral, disrespected teachers, or whatever the case may be. They get 1 day, 2 days, perhaps 3 days of ISS. And I learned in sitting in that classroom with the students, I began to not only give them their work assignments, but to ask them questions as far as what got them into trouble, and why did they keep coming back to ISS.
Yes.
So then what I started doing was having a roundtable discussion with them after they finished their work for that day.
Mm.
And it was a round robin, and I would ask them questions, and they would answer. They would ask me questions, and I would answer their questions. And I learned so much from these young people as far as um, their attitude and why they were behaving the way they were behaving. And a lot of them would say, to my surprise, that it was respect, that they felt that the teachers were not giving them respect.
Mm.
Now, I'm a product of the 60s and the 70s. And the one thing that I learned that we were taught was, as a child, you mind your manners and you respect the adults. You're
Yes.
pretty much seen and not heard. And so it took me a while to finally grasp where they were coming from with respect. I'm thinking, you're a young person, little boy, little girl, you just should keep your mouth closed and do what you're told. But we live in a different age now, and these children, they want respect. They want to
Hmm.
not only be seen, but they want to be heard. And I started listening to them, and in some ways coming down to their level to get a better understanding of who they were and where they were coming from. And then it just took off from there. And then the rapport came, and I began to spend as much quality time with them. And I began to do the Gentlemen's Club even more, putting more emphasis on it, the respect level. And I really enjoyed the time I spent with these students, with ISS, and also as a dean of student. I had more hands on them as a dean of student, and helping change their behavior.
Hmm. That's fascinating. So you're a product of the 60s and the 70s. I'm a
Yes.
product of the 80s and the 90s.
Okay.
And I always say that my generation is the final sort of decent generation, right? I'm class of 2000, and the class of 2000 is the last, decent class on earth, right? And then everything started changing, everything started turning. I
Right.
was a teacher for 10 years, and I noticed, especially in the males. Of course, the females had their own issue, but especially in the males, they are not the same.
That's correct.
They have different expectations. They
Yeah.
have different sort of ways of dealing with things. And
Hmm.
so again, when I heard about your program
Yeah.
and your project, I'm like, I need to have Bobby on my podcast because I
Certainly.
would love to see this in every single school
Right.
around the world, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what is the Gentleman's Club exactly? First of all, what is it? And second of
Mhm.
all, how did you develop it?
Okay. Well, the Gentleman's Club is a character development mentoring program for youth. I have not and I will not take credit for the Gentleman's Club. Paul Arrington is the one that started the Gentleman's Club several decades ago at Plaza Middle School. And it was after meeting him after the first year, he could not no longer do the program. So he asked me to take over the program. And so I started the program and I started doing it for 14 years. And it's an awesome program. And we started it. Well, I continued it for 14 years. We meet after school twice a month, the first and third Tuesday of each month. And it's a year-long program. And it really shaped the boys, the behavior. It changed the dynamics and the behavior of the school. It's been recognized that as far as, excuse me, not recognized, but we've been credited with reducing the referral rates by 50%. The attendance have gone up in the schools, and the morale has increased, and it's been favorable. The community has gotten involved with it, and we've implemented in about 4 or 5 schools in the city of Virginia Beach. It's been so successful that other school divisions outside of the state of Virginia has reached out to us to help with the program, to help them start their own program,
Mm-hmm.
such as school divisions in Alabama, Connecticut, Maryland. And so it's proven to be successful. When we started the program at the alternative high school, we had the highest graduation rate in 2 years at the high school because of the program, how it changed significantly the climate of the school. After the first year starting the mentoring program, the Gentlemen's Club, we also started the Ladies Club because
Mm.
of the huge success. So we had a Ladies Club as well as the Gentlemen's Club, and we oftentimes worked hand in hand and went on field trips together and did a lot of after school activities together.
What are the main objectives of the
Thank you.
Gentleman's Club?
Thank you. I'll read our mission statement, okay?
Okay.
The mission of the Gentlemen's Club is to develop and maintain the student's self respect as well as respect for others, promoting self esteem and a positive attitude. We will provide knowledge about stereotypes, media images, cliques, prejudice, hate, communication, tolerance, and respect.
Hmm.
Further, the members will develop and implement action projects in school to address needs determined by the assessments. Action projects may include a variety of activities such as dress up days. Now, our young men would come to school for our meetings dressed in suits and ties. This was the attire for our meeting each and every time. We would have, I would post our young men at the doors early to open doors for the teachers when they would come in, and they would greet the teachers coming into
Hmm.
the school, teaching them how to open doors for young ladies. We've had anti-bullying programs, school mediation programs. We also develop various activities such as teaching them how to tie ties, how to shake a man's hand. We would go on field trips to the colleges and universities, museums. And our huge field trip that we ever went on was to Washington, D.C., and we had the opportunity to tour the White House.
Oh,
And
wow.
so our objective was to broaden their mindset and to let them see what's possible for them.
Hmm.
One of the mottos that we have is that it doesn't matter where in life you come from, but what does matter is where you allow yourself to end up. And I'll share another motto that we have is that if we're not on the right path, then the wrong path lies ahead.
Speaking of this, I also saw one of your videos is you took the kids to on a field trip to a prison,
Yes, to jail.
a jail.
That's the
Okay.
very first field trip we go on every school year is to
Hmm.
jail. And I do that as an eye-opening experience to get their attention because I want them to know how serious we are about this program.
Hmm.
It's not a scared state, excuse me, a scared straight program that some people have seen on TV, because our young men, we go to the jail in our suits and ties.
Hmm.
We first go to the courtroom. We sit in the courtroom. The judge know that we're there. The judge always acknowledge our presence, and the judge take time either before or after some of the cases that have shown or heard before us to address the gentleman's club and answer any questions they may have.
Oh, wow.
So the young men, they get to see actual cases, people coming in handcuffs, shackled around the ankles. They hear cases whether it be DUIs, driving while intoxicated,
Hmm.
or marijuana, or child support, whatever case come before the court. We sit there and we listen to it. And so we also here in Virginia Beach, at the jail, we the inmates travel to and from court underground, so they never come outside from the courthouse to the jail cell.
Wow.
They
Hmm.
go underground. And so when we go into the courthouse to jail, we go underground, and we go to the jail cells. We put them in the jail cells. We close the jail. I mean,
Oh,
we
man.
lock the bars, and they see where, there's no curtains. If you have to go to the restroom, everyone sees what you're doing. When
No,
you take a shower,
yeah,
everyone
no,
sees what you're doing.
yeah, it's
You
a
eat your
POV
food.
experience. It's a
It, it,
POV.
it, it,
This is
yes,
how it is. This is
it's
from
just
the
how it's a
eyes
shocking
of,
experience.
yeah, right.
Yeah. And we also have an inmate who comes in and handcuffed and shackled. This is not rehearsed at all. These are actual inmates, and they come in and they tell their stories. And sometimes, I mean, I've been shocked at some of the inmates because they're tattoos all on their
Yeah.
face.
Hmm.
They have a large history. And I tell you what's interesting, and two things always happen, and it's not scripted at all, but it's just the way it comes out. The inmates always say, for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, that their issue started in middle school when they started trying to do their own thing. They stopped listening to teachers, they started following the wrong crowd, and they stopped listening to their parents. And then they would always say, I wish we would have a program like you have
That's
right
incredible.
now, then I
Hmm.
wouldn't be here in this situation. And that always touched my heart to hear them say that. And so our young man now leaves the jail. They come back, and in our next meeting, they have to write at least 2 paragraphs on what they learned.
Hmm.
And then we print those paragraphs out and we post them in the school, all along the school, so the other students can get an understanding of what our young men experienced. So that's the first field trip we go every year to open their eyes, and then the other field trips are a lot of fun field trips.
Right, right. That is incredible. That is
Yeah.
is really putting the students, in the shoes of the different sort of positions in the community. And I love how the community is so welcoming to this. I love how the judges are so cool with it. I love how the inmates are so cool with it. That actually
Yes.
surprised when I saw that video,
Yes.
that surprised me.
Yes.
That, one of the inmates would sort of willingly and amicably come in and share their
Yes.
stories and say, hey, I made a mistake and this is why I'm here. It's a firsthand experience. I love that.
Now, although we don't have the ladies' club go to the jail with us, one year we had a young lady who was an inmate. The inmate, it was a woman,
Mm,
and she came and spoke. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't know how this is going to go, but her story was very dynamic, and it put a different twist, altogether. And so it's a positive thing that we do. And I can tell you that this program is the only program, the only middle school that's able to go, because it's usually set aside for high school seniors,
right.
but we're the only middle school. My program was the only middle school in the program itself to be able to attend because of how well behaved our students are.
Mm,
And what we always have at the end of the year, we have a banquet. And one year we had the sheriff, who's in charge of the jail. The sheriff
mm.
came and spoke at the banquet, and we always take photos. I don't know if you saw the photos with the deputies as well, but it's a wonderful thing. And yes, we have the community support. We would have retirees come in from all walks of life. They would donate suits to us. They donate ties to us from the community. I had one realtor. He donated a couple $100, wrote a check to the program,
Mm.
and so we get a lot of support from the community. It's a wonderful thing.
You know, it's no secret that teachers spend on classroom supplies out of their own pockets. Whiteboard markers, crayons, coloring pencils, sometimes even furniture for their classrooms. So it's only logical that teachers would want the best deals for their school supplies. I found this website that sells literally everything a teacher would need to fill their classrooms, for all grade levels. Discount School Supply offers the best variety of school supplies, arts and craft supplies, teaching resources, educational-based toys and games, and learning tools for children, parents, and teachers. With a collection of thousands of arts and crafts materials, education toys, and dramatic play toys, the Discount School Supply website and catalog are sure to have something for infants and toddlers, as well as children in daycares, kindergarten, or preschool. Teachers and parents say the company offers great quality at a great price. Other benefits include free shipping on stock orders over $99, same-day shipping, 110% lowest price guarantee, plus web-only promotions. And they even have a clearance page for even more savings. Discount School Supply is America's one-stop shop for everything a teacher would ever need throughout the year. Check it out to see if you qualify for free shipping. Please use the affiliate link to support the channel. You can find it in the show notes or at legendaryeducator.com/resources. Discount School Supply, always low prices, always 110% guaranteed. Okay, I want to take advantage of your time. I want to take advantage of this platform, and I want to create a how to start this program at your school, because God knows every single school needs this. So, I mean, in a couple of points, how does a school start this program at their local schools? And keep in mind, I want this to be international as well. So it's not only North America, but internationally.
Wonderful. First of all, the gentleman who actually started, Paul Arrington, he and I, we co-authored a book on how to start a mentoring program. And so it's called the Gentleman's Club. So we've already put together a package on, or a book itself on how to start a mentoring program. And that book is available on my website. And I guess we'll share that in just a few minutes.
Absolutely.
But I think the key thing to this is to have, you have to be a person who's ever going to be in charge of the program to have a heart for the children. And a lot of times it's not a paid, I didn't get paid for this. It was something that was in my heart to continue in doing. And I can also say that sometimes I spent my own money, for snacks for after school. Well, teachers know that.
So I'm not telling you exactly.
Right? I apologize.
It comes with exactly. It comes with the territory.
Exactly. So because it takes so much of your time, and a lot of the things is just coming up with ideas to keep their attention. So we also, and I think I'll get to the question just a second, but we also had fundraising activities. I had a gentleman that I met who was the owner of Krispy Kreme Donuts, and he would donate 100 boxes of donuts, and we would sell the donuts, and that's how we generated a lot of money as well to be able to go on these trips. But the thing about it is that a lot of things that we put together was just ideas that came to my mind. And again, a lot of those things, pretty much everything that we've done is in the book, The Gentleman's Club, that's available on my website. But it's just coming up with ideas to do, and you have to have a principal who supports you. I know that when I was hired at the alternative high school, one of the reasons they hired me because they wanted me to bring the mentoring program there. And I made it certain to the principal. I said, if I accept this position, I need 100% of your support with my program, because this is my program and I know how I want my program to run. It can't work if you dictate to me how to work it. This is my program, and so he gave me full reign, to run my program. And if I can share a quick story with you now, at an alternative school, I think teachers will tell you that at every school there's probably at least 10% troubles, with students. 90% kids are going to be great. It's the 10% that's going to have problems with. Well, at an alternative school, that's 100% of problems, because that's why they're there, because of the disciplinary issues. So at this alternative school was 100% of disciplinary issues. We turned the school around because of the program.
Wow.
Okay. This program, it works. At the alternative school, they're gang members. Known gang members. Okay. They represent, although everyone wore the same uniform at alternative school, but they still represented their gangs in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. We had a fight at the alternative school where this young man got beat up pretty bad, actually bloodied, and the ambulance came, had to take him out.
Jeez.
He was in a gang. He came back after about 3 or 4 weeks. He came back. I'm getting the program started, and I wanted this young man to join my program, but I didn't know how to approach him.
Mm.
Needless to say, he got into trouble again. He's arguing and cursing out the principal in the
Oh dear.
hallway.
Mm.
He's cursing the principal out in the hallway. And so this young man stood a 6'2", about 240, big kid. And so somehow I was able to talk him down, bring in my office, and to speak with him. Make a long story short, I convinced him to join my program, even though the principal was calling his mother to expel him.
Oh
He was
man.
on his way out of school. But I
Mm.
went to the principal's office and I shared with him, I said, Mr. Bolton, you told me that you would support me 100%. I don't want you to kick this young man out. I want him in my program. No, Mr. Huntley, he's got to go. He's got to go. Sir, you said that you would give me 100%. This is what the program is about. It's kids like this guy who needs help. That young man joined my program. He became the president because we have officers, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer,
Mm.
sergeant at arms. He became the president of the program. He went back to high school, graduated. He went on to college to graduate from college. And he's now a guard, I think, somewhere in Texas.
That's
So
remarkable.
this is and I have so many stories like this, how it changed people around. Once the community learned about this and it went outside the state of Virginia, we started getting invites. We had the NASB, National Association of State Boards of Educators, had their annual meeting in Washington D.C. one year, and they asked members of the Gentlemen's Club to come and speak
Mm.
to a national board of educators on what was a success and what turned their lives around. And it was a 2-day event, and it was awesome. And
Wow.
I recommend this program at every school in every state in every country because it works. Let me share a couple more things if you don't mind.
Please, yeah.
One of the key factors for the Gentlemen's Club, if I had one word, it would be respect.
Mm-hmm.
RESPECT. And the acronym for respect is recognizing, assessing, and understanding today's youth. That's the R, is
Mm-hmm.
recognizing. E is encouraging them to succeed despite their circumstances. S is seeing through their eyes what the world has to offer them. P, plan to lift them up, never tearing them down with words or deeds. E, equipping them with the tools needed to succeed in life. C, challenging them to love themselves by respecting themselves. And T, trusting that the seed you deposit into them will bring forth its fruit and its season. And I think it's important to share that at the beginning of every meeting, the Gentlemen's Club members read their creed. This is
Mm.
our Gentlemen's Creed that is read at every meeting. As a gentleman, I promise to always have respect for myself as well as others. I will lead by example for others to follow. I will do this by displaying pride in all schoolwork assignments. My work will always be turned in on time, neatly, and correctly to the best of my ability. To be a gentleman is to be kind and to be considerate of others. I will give the utmost respect to my parents, guardians, teachers, adults, and to the proper authorities over me. This I will do as a gentleman. That's our Gentlemen's Club creed, and they recite that every meeting.
If I were still a teacher, sir, I promise you I would be the I would be the first one to actually jump on this. So I'm hoping this episode reaches the ears of those educators who are interested in, changing young people's lives. Where can they find this information?
My website is brayhuntley.enterprises.com. B Ray, RAYE, Huntley, HUNTLEY, enterprises.com. There you'll find so many photos and videos that you were able to watch about the Gentlemen's Club and also a list of my books. One of the books I've wrote is titled Mothers Please. Mothers Please is a self-help book for single mothers raising sons
Hmm.
without the help of the father. In Mothers Please, I list 8 mistakes that single mothers make. The book is not to put down single mothers because they do the best they can.
Of course.
I'm a product of a single mother raising me, but I make this profound statement is that a woman cannot teach a boy how to be a man. It
Hmm.
takes a man to teach a boy how to be a man. My last book that I wrote that just came out last year is titled The Shaping of Our Future Generation, putting a plug in the school to prison pipeline. And
Mm.
so I'm an avid activist for our youth. Um, I'm going to spend the rest of my life helping our youth and guiding and directing them in the way to be the best citizen they possibly can, to make not only their families proud, but make this country proud.
That's amazing, Bobby. You are a wealth of just positive vibes. Let me ask you one last question.
Please.
How do you make this program look cool? I mean, I'm thinking to myself, I'm putting myself, back into the school environment. I mean, if I present this to the boys in my class, they're going to be like, it's not cool. It's not attractive to me as a young man who's cool, who's hip, who's, got it all figured out. How do you make this attractive and cool to, young men, young boys?
Well, I think every young man, young boy wants to look good.
Mm-hmm.
And what caught their attention, because all I need was just a few to get started. Sometimes I start with 5 kids, and as the meeting progressed, they started seeing us doing field trips. They started seeing us having some nice food to eat after school, and especially seeing our young men dressed in their suits. Oh, it
Yes.
caught a lot of attention because a lady still like a young man and well-dressed young man.
Looking
So it
sharp,
caught a
yeah.
lot of it caught a lot of attention. And so, like I said, we had gang members that dropped their gang colors to join our gentlemen's club, tattoos and all, And so the photos are there. The pictures will speak 1,000 words, 10,000 words, and the videos does that. Now, the teacher that I listened to that you asked me to take a listen to, he would be a great, someone like that with wonderful personality. I can just see him, in his role doing the gentlemen's club, because they will come. The students will come, and the ladies will come also. And when the two groups got together, we did salsa dance. We taught them how to salsa dance, just doing fun activities together, something new. Right. Children, they want to learn. If you can get their attention and let them know that you're there for them, you'd be surprised. Not teachers, because teachers know this anyway, but they will gravitate. They will gravitate towards you. You won't have no problem doing a program such as this. Just lead from the heart. That's all you have to do, is lead from your heart.
That's fantastic. I was really looking forward to this interview because I really did want to share the story. I really did want to share this idea to the world, because I do believe it would be extremely effective with our young men, and shape our societies positively. Because God knows our societies are going. I mean, God knows where they're going, right? So
absolutely,
I'm really happy I got to talk to you. I'm going to put your links. I'm going to put your links in the show notes. So if you'd like to get to know Bobby or Mr. Huntley, or to know a little bit about his program, the Gentlemen's Club, if you want a copy of the book, it's the links and his website is going to be in the show notes. It was a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for reaching out to me. I appreciate you so. You're doing a wonderful job. God bless you.
I appreciate that, sir. Good luck on your venture. Good luck on the rest of your mission. And let's keep in touch.
Appreciate that. God bless.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Mr. Huntley. Thanks again to Mr. Huntley for sharing his experiences and shedding some light on the Gentlemen's Club. If you're a teacher who is passionate about your students and would like to be a positive part of their lives, I do suggest you implement this at your school, whether the Gentlemen's Club for boys or the Young Ladies Club for girls. As Mr. Huntley said, the program works, and he was able to save numerous young people from going down a dark path. If you'd like to reach out to Mr. Huntley or learn more about the Gentlemen's Club, the links are in the show notes. Let me know what you thought about today's episode by leaving your comments, questions, or complaints in the Legendary Educator Facebook group. You'll find the link in the show notes, or you can find it by searching for Legendary Educator FB group on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram at Legendary Educator, or you can get in touch with me at legendaryeducator.com. I've got some exciting things planned for this summer, so make sure you get on the mailing list. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Next week, another legendary episode with a different legendary educator. Class is dismissed.